Hey beautiful people, what is up and welcome back to my channel. I am Jamila and I love all things beauty. I love all things makeup, I love all things skincare, and I especially love finding luxury and high-end beauty products at bargain prices. Okay, all right. So, happy spring everybody. I think we've been into spring for a little bit now, but as you guys saw from the title of today's video, I thought that I would come on here and share with you guys my top 5, well, not top, but I thought that I would come here and share with you guys 5 recommendations for spring palettes. Now, we all know that makeup is subjective, so there is no real rhyme or reason to how you should wear makeup. So you can wear any eyeshadow palette whenever you want to, depending on your mood, depending on the season, however it is. But since we are in spring, I've found that sort of my makeup tastes have been geared towards more lighter, brighter makeup. And because of that, I thought I would pull out a couple of palettes from my collection to show you guys what I've been thinking about and the color stories that I have been gravitating more towards for spring. Now, I guess the good thing about this video is that all of the palettes that I'm going to show you guys are pretty much older-ish palettes, so you probably already have them in your collection. So hopefully this video sparks something in you, so if you weren't thinking about this palette as a sort of spring or summertime palette, you might want to give it another look. But that's enough talking from me. Let's just dive right into the video. So the first palette that came to mind, and this is probably a little bit shocking and a newish one to my collection, and that is the Carli Bybel and ABH collab palette. Now, when I first saw this palette, I did not think that this was black girl friendly, and here is why. So as you guys can tell, the shades in this palette seem really, really light. It definitely seems like it may not have enough depth for someone of my skin tone. So I went in very skeptical with this palette, and let me tell you, this palette laughed in my face and proved me completely wrong. Like, wow. So this gold shade did arrive broken and I had to repress it. And it kind of gets into the other shades, but that's neither here nor there. So, and when I say that this palette proved me wrong, I'm talking specifically about the mattes in this palette. One of the things that I was concerned about is that because they're so light and pretty pastel, that I would not have enough pigment when I tried to apply these to my lids. And when I tell you I was wrong, I was wrong. Not only did this have pigment, it didn't look ashy. It didn't blend away into anything. It actually looked really rich when I applied these matte shadows onto my lids. So if you were side-eyeing this palette a little bit because you are of a deeper complexion, if you were my skin tone or deeper, give it a try. And if you have this in your collection and you weren't thinking about it, definitely pull it back out, because I think those shades, the kind of light pinks and mauves and purples, are what I have been gravitating towards for spring. The next eyeshadow palette that came to mind for me when I thought about spring was one of my Tom Ford quads, and that is the African Violet quad. Listen, let me tell you. First of all, if you've been watching me for a while, you know that I got into Tom Ford quads because I was able to pick up a bunch of them from the cosmetics company store. So at this point, I would say that I have about 20 Tom Ford quads. And what I've realized is that Tom Ford has maybe 4 color stories that he just keeps recycling. And a lot of them are just neutrals. So they're either warm tone neutrals or cool tone neutrals. The African Violet quad, however, that is a gem. That is, in my opinion, the best color story that I have seen Tom Ford put out. It is extremely, extremely different from anything I've seen in his collection and from anything that I have in my Tom Ford collection. This gold shade is like a topper that you put and just adds so much beautiful sparkle. And this purple and this orange are such beautiful satins that they are extremely soft on the eyes. And the reason why I absolutely love this quad is because even though it is pretty colorful and you would think that it's out there, this is so work appropriate. I wore this to work one day and I was blown away by how soft and subtle and sophisticated this looks on the eyes. So if you are worried about spring eyeshadows being too bright and too colorful for work, this is definitely a palette that I would recommend. Now, we know that the Tom Ford quads originally retailed for $88, but like I said, if you have a cosmetics company store near you, definitely check them out, because you can get his quads for 60% off, which puts it at around like $34. Now, this particular quad I did pick up at Macy's. They were having, I want to say like a 55% off sale. I definitely paid less than $44 for it. So I've been seeing, you know, Tom Ford go on sale not only at the cosmetics company store, but at Macy's and other sites as well. So definitely keep your eyes out, and if you already have it in your collection, pull it out, because it's just absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful. Whew. One of my not only one of my just my favorite quads from Tom Ford, but right now that's one of my favorite eyeshadows, period. The next one that I want to talk about is a eyeshadow palette that might surprise you, especially because this one didn't come out in the spring or the summertime. And that is the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette. Now, you can tell from the name that this seems to be a fall autumn themed palette, because when you think of pumpkin spice, you think about the pumpkin spice latte, and then you start thinking about fall and the leaves and pumpkins and Halloween and all of that. When you actually look at the color story for this palette, it makes me wonder why this came out in the fall. Because these eyeshadow palettes actually make me think about spring and summer more than I would think about fall. And it has those very sort of nice light pink mauvey tone shades, as well as, you know, really nice purples or really bright pinks and warm shades that I think would be perfect for the summertime. And then some really nice, more subtle, lighter pastel shades that I think are great for the spring. And these did come out last fall. So if you did pick it up last fall and you've been thinking of this as a palette that you would only pull out in autumn, definitely pull it out of your collection. Dig into it, because these shades are everything, like literally. And when it comes to the Too Faced formula, I found that the palettes that are in this tin tend to have a much better formula and a much better quality. Now, you know I had to pull out a palette from Mama Pat. And I was going to take the easy road out and, you know, just recommend the entire Divine Rose collection. But I wanted to go in a different direction. And as I was going through all of my Pat McGrath palettes, the one that stood out to me is her Mothership Mega. Now, this was released last year, and this was the first of its kind where Mama Pat put out a palette with more than 10 shades. And it was in this not so expensive, let me say not so, it was in this cheap packaging. It didn't have like the nice heavy luxe feel. I don't know if you guys can tell, but mine, with my palette, the sticker is actually bent, and this crooked sticker has been bothering me for forever. Like, like I am okay with the packaging not being luxe to keep the price cheaper, but at least stick the sticker on, right? I don't know what it is with me and Mama Pat stickers. Like, this crooked sticker has been such an annoyance to me. I don't understand why. But besides that, the Pat McGrath Mothership Mega was the first of its kind because you got 18 shades. And when I was going to through my Pat McGrath collection to find a palette that wasn't from the Divine Rose collection, this one definitely stood out because of the versatility within this palette. Not only do you get those sort of pink, mauve, deep, rich burgundy tones with the purples, but you also got, like, you know, the bright yellow gold. You got this really nice deep green. So I found, in my opinion, that because of the variety that this palette offers, this would be a really good recommendation. The only, not even like issue, but the only thing that I would point out with this palette is that it only comes with 3 mattes. So it only comes with 3 mattes. And if you look at all of the mattes, they definitely are that kind of pink mauvey tone. So you might have to end up dipping into another palette or a single shadow if you do prefer like a more neutral brown or a deep brown or even a black matte shadow, to whether it be put it in a crease or to deepen up the outer V, because it does kind of lead towards the pinky mauvey tones. But it is a beautiful palette. And if you don't have anything from Pat McGrath and you were looking to get into her eyeshadow palettes, I would definitely recommend that you check out the Mothership Mega because you get so much for so little. This palette retails for $78. you can find a referral code which will give you an additional 15% off, or you could just wait for one of her other sales where you would get 25 or 30% off, which is what I recommend. But if you already have it within your collection, now is the perfect time to pull it back out because it is such a stunning palette. Okay, and now we are on to our last and final eyeshadow palette. And this one, I think I struggled with a little bit because I don't love it, but I don't hate it. But I do love the color story of this palette, and that is the Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Storm. Now, when I saw the color story for this, I knew that I needed this palette because it was so gorgeous. Like, look at these shades. Can you, like, come on? And it's so beautiful. Like, you get the purples, the teals, the warm oranges, the pinks. Like, and you can even make a really nice neutral look with this shade here and with these two warm browns. So this eyeshadow palette, I definitely, you know, was inspired by the color story. And the reason why I say that I love the color story, but I don't love the palette is because I do think that I am not, either I don't like the formula or I don't know how to work with the formula just yet. Now, when I did create a look using sort of the warm shades within this palette, I thought it worked really well. But then when I dipped into the teal and the purple, I felt like I struggled a little bit, particularly with the shimmers and getting it to look the way that I wanted to look. Overall, I did come out with a really nice look, but it took some work. Not enough work for me to say that this palette is a complete fail, but it was more than I was used to. And because this was my first Dominique Cosmetics palette, I will say that I could probably chalk it up to me not understanding or not knowing how to work with her formula. So there's that. So if this color story inspires you, I would definitely recommend that you check this out. I know that this is currently on sale at the Sephora website for 50% off. So you can actually pick this up for $22 aside from the original $44 price. And I know that some people also got the mini version of this in their BoxyCharm a couple of months back. So just to recap, the 5 eyeshadow palettes that I would recommend for spring that you may already have in your collection are the Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Storm, the Pat McGrath Mothership Mega, Tom Ford African Violet, the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice, and the ABH Carli Bybel palette. These are all absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful palettes that I have used and that I am really excited to continue using through the spring months. Now, before I end this video, I did want to add one honorable mention. And the reason why this isn't in the list right now is because I haven't used it enough for me to decide that I should recommend it to you guys. And that is the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde. And this is actually the eyeshadow that I'm wearing on my eyes right now, which is why I say that I haven't used it enough to let you guys know if this should be a contender. So I'm wearing it right now. I want to see how it wears, especially the shimmer, because one, I got a lot of fallout using the shimmer shade on my eye. So I'm hoping that it doesn't fade throughout the rest of the day. But the Huda Mercury Retrograde palette, I think, is absolutely stunning. I think the color story is beautiful. And I had a similar thought when purchasing this to the Carli Bybel, being that it's pastel. Like, I don't know how this is gonna work for my skin tone. I was real worried, like for real. I was real worried about this eyeshadow palette because of how light the shades in here are. And the reason why I did end up purchasing this is because Beauty and the Frizz so kindly swatched her palette and sent those swatches to me. So I was able to see what they looked like on her skin tone. Now, yes, she is lighter than me, but she is a beautiful black woman. So being able to see what the mattes particularly looked like on her skin was really and truly helpful. I am glad that I have this in my collection. Using it today, I will say that I found that it has the potential. It really does. It has the potential to look ashy on my skin tone. So I was a little bit wary of that while using the palette, but as you guys can see, this is the final look, which I think came out beautifully, and it doesn't look ashy at all. I was able to get some really nice depth from the 2 shades at the bottom. So these 2 shades, I was able to get some really nice depth from. So I don't think that the final product looks ashy at all. Now, I will say that I need to test this out some more. I need to see how it wears, but that is just an honorable mention for you guys. Now, the other reason why I picked up this palette is because it is currently on sale at Sephora. So I was able to get the additional 15% on top of the sale price. I think bringing it down to around like $40 from the $65 price tag. So it was definitely a good discount. So I don't regret it. I don't regret picking it up because I was able to get it at a good discount. And if you are looking into picking it up, I think it might still be on sale on the Sephora website. So just something to consider. All right. So that's it from me, guys. I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you guys liked seeing the spring suggestion palettes that I shared. Let me know in the comments down below what palettes you would recommend for spring, and I will catch you guys in my next one. Bye.